Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 23 of season 2, Ought to Know Better podcast. I'm Smarty. We'll be right back with you after this. Hello, everyone. Welcome along. Welcome to our wonderful little podcast. I'm Smarty, as I said. I'm joined tonight by OKB regulars, Mr. J. Carter, and our residential stat man. And tonight we've got a special guest, Aidan from Pundit Games. How are you doing, mate?
Hi, mate. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for having me. Look forward to it.
It's a pleasure. Aidan's going to be talking about something that him and Jay and a few other chaps got up to last night. I'll let Jay take that one.
It's not as illegal as it sounds.
No, it's not as illegal as it sounds. It's all above board. It did not involve any lubrication or red lights. So, without further ado, Aidan, do you want to take it away, mate? Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and about the brand you work for and everything?
Yeah. So, again, thanks for having us down at Ought to Know Better. I know we've been speaking a while, and it's something that we're keen to sort of engage with you guys. But essentially, we're a football trivia board game. Sort of coined in Denmark. So obviously I'm not Danish, but it was coined in Denmark, and then sort of I'm coming to sort of translate and help anglicize it to the British market, which is what we're doing now. And last night we held our first sort of launch night. It was a bit of a soft launch, but it was down at Harrogate Railway, and we had Don Matteo down. So a few of you guys came down, and it was a great night, and I think it was great, one, to listen to Dom, and two, to gauge what the British audience thinks of our sort of trivia game. It's sort of, I think you'll agree, Jay, maybe it's like a question of sport meets Trivial Pursuit, and it's a trip down memory lane for everyone who plays, and it's like, you forget that even when you talk about player, every answer is a player, and when you sort of, you play and you think about a lad who played in 2015, you can't remember his name, and it's a trip down there, and it really gets the banter flowing, and you spend much time as kicking yourself, as celebrating, and I think it's a great sort of way that we can engage with football.
It's great.
Different generations. Yeah.
No, good.
I remember last night.
All the ages sort of thing. So, mate, is it a game for all the ages, mate? Is it young and old and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So we try and keep it as sort of engaging as possible. So we've got like we have different categories, so you can choose what category suits you, whether it be England 80s up to England 10s. So obviously the young guys, but even sort of the 10s will sort of challenge in terms of the questions. But we sort of look at the European leagues as well.
No, cracking, nice one. Jay, you were there obviously with Carl as well. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it, about how you play it, about the crack that you were having with the guys, what you got up to and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, when we first sort of got sat down with it, I was looking at it and thinking, I'm not entirely sure how this works, but then as soon as you start playing it, it's really, really simple, and it flows really easily. I think we got shafted a little bit because we ended up with these two old blokes opposite us, and we got a load of questions from like 1958 and 1965 and stuff, and me, Carl and Dom were all just sort of looking at each other like, who the hell is that? But like it were really good, and as Aidan was saying at the start there, like you get some questions and you're looking at, it'll say this player's done such and such, and you're looking at the list of clubs he's played for. They're on the card with these games and these goals and stuff, and you're like, oh God, Portsmouth, Everton, Brighton. And you're like, oh God, I know who this is, I know it, and you just sat there like going out your head. And then the question turns over when we all give up, and it's Bobby Zamora, and everyone's like, oh, for God's sake, man.
Yeah.
I think the other bit of that is, I remember obviously Dom was on your team, and we were speaking to Dom, and obviously I'm sure all you Leeds fans are aware of his story with his brain injury that he's having at the moment. Yeah. And he found it a great exercise for himself, which was really sort of refreshing. Sort of hear him like it's a good exercise for him and his mind to sort of resonate back with what's happened in the past. I know he touched on sort of his charity work that he's doing at the moment, and it just created a great evening for us as well to sort of to bring it all together.
Yeah, it really makes you think. It really makes you think. You search through your memories.
And he certainly does have a lot of memories, let's be honest.
Oh God, yeah, he had some great stories last night. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
the one about taking Jan Collar to Majestic for a beer.
Yeah, and then he had 14 pints or whatever it was with Roberto
Carlos.
Brilliant.
The night before.
In all, and then yeah. I remember he saying about when he made his debut at Liverpool, they just have whiskies before they went out and stuff like that, and it made him feel a lot better. So it was like they all loved it. A whiskey before they ran out,
yeah,
just to warm your cockles just before you step out. So, rightly, Luke's asking the question in the questions box. So when is this getting released then, and where can you buy it from? Is it an Amazon thing? Is it any sort of specific shops where you can get hold of it?
So we're currently live and it's punditgames.com. And you can sort of buy the game online. I think we're really keen, based on the success of last night, to snowball plenty more evenings. So we've got one on the Embers in Leeds and one in Manchester. We see Leeds and the Leeds fans and sort of as a really sort of reminiscent set of fans who are close to their support, who are close to the club. And understand the history, and I think our game really resonates with them, and that's why we chose Leeds as a place to start. So we really want to centre around Leeds to start with, and sort of snowball. So you can buy the game now on punditgames.com, but you'll see more of us in these sort of evenings, in these sort of quiz nights at sort of bars and pubs around Leeds and sort of West Yorkshire. We're aiming at,
Yeah, good. Well, if you ever need any help with setting up a games, I don't think it'd be a bad idea to get a few podcasts up against each other, and we'll see what we can make of it.
We tried to do better than me and Carl did last night.
Yeah.
No, we'll sort it out.
We did try that. Talking Shut bottled it, actually. They were going to be there, but they bottled it last minute. So
did they? Did they now? It's because they don't have a resident stat man, do they? That's it. And if we don't win, then he's getting sacked. That's as simple as that.
Last week.
No pressure, Andy.
No.
What we'll do is we'll post a link in the comments and stuff once this is done, and we'll get a link to Pundit Games and that, so people can check it out for themselves. But no, thanks for that, mate. That's great. To be honest, myself and Luke, I know for definite we're a bit gutted that we couldn't get over it. Unfortunately, the time we're a bit off. But if it does happen again, then we'll be definitely getting over for this one. It seemed like a good crack and everything that I've seen from it. So
when it's really good, it was really good fun.
Brilliant.
I know you'll be there.
The fact we had that much fun playing against strangers, like if you sat playing that with your mates, you'd have some great banter, a few beers, you'd playing game, and I like the way like you've got all your categories, you're rolling your dice, you're picking from your category, going by what number it comes in on the dice. But the other team, they also can take tactics cards, can't they, Aidan?
Yeah. So you can try.
You don't know what's going to happen.
We try and make it as inclusive as possible. So if you don't really see yourself as a pundit, or you're struggling with some categories, that you can try and throw a spanner in the works with the team. So it's not just how much football knowledge do you know, can you play the game as well?
No, excellent.
Yeah.
Now, talking about Statman, I believe you may have one or two questions for him. Now, this is going to be a nice little bit of a tester to see how we think he's going to get on. Should any other meets or anything like whether we want to take him with us or whether we should tie him up outside. So,
when I was looking at, I watched your last one about the last podcast you did about Newcastle, and I remember you pulled a stout your ass about the 84th minute, Statman. So I was like, bloody hell. I don't know how we go with this, but so I've tried. I don't know what down it was. So what I've done is I've tried a question that I hope you might get, and then we've done like a follow-up question, which might be a bit more challenging. I've not done what time was this goal scored, because we want what player was what we every answer every question is a player. So we try and keep it around that theme. So essentially, I've got three questions for you. We go as far back as we can, sort of with Leeds, but like I say, the game's a bit trip down memory lane. We come a bit further forward as well. So the first one I've got is, who did Billy Bremner replace in his one sub appearance for Leeds United?
Jeez. That was against Sheffield Wednesday on May the 5th, 1967.
Okay. It was against Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, because he played 73 games, 72 starts, one sub appearance. 67. Oh God, this is a guess.
They're saying you're bottling in the comments already, Statman.
No, but I got the game. I got the game right. I think it was May the 15th, 1967 or 66. Okay, I'm number 12. That was towards the back end of the season, and this is a complete guess, and I'm probably wrong. I'm going to say Norman Hunter. I'm probably wrong.
You'll kick yourself, Statman. It was Eddie Gray.
Eddie Gray. I got the game right. I'll take the game.
I reckon you got the hardest bit of the question right. That was actually the follow-up. Who was it against?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, in pundit, it's about the player. So the next one I've got is, who did Leeds buy from Man United in 1989 for 180 grams?
Sorry, from where? Man United?
Yeah.
Everyone knows this.
But who did he turn down to sign for Leeds United?
I want to say Sheffield Wednesday.
Correct, yeah, it was Sheffield Wednesday.
It was Sheffield Wednesday, yeah.
I try to keep it on Wednesday, so you thought it can't be Wednesday, but
yeah.
We've got one more.
Atkinson was at Sheffield Wednesday, was his manager at Man United at the time, but obviously before Fergie took over.
Now it says in some sources that the Leeds matched them, but I'm finding other sources where they actually came in a bit short of what Wednesday offered, but he still went to Leeds.
He did indeed.
And the rest is
my final question is, who succeeded Jock Stein as manager in October 1978?
Jimmy Adamson.
Yep. And where did they finish in his first full season at? What league position?
Fifth.
Finished 11th, Statman?
11th. They finished fifth the following year, then, because they got into Europe the following season, because I know they played Valletta and University Craiova in the UEFA Cup in 79-80. So, yeah, 11th first in the fifth second season.
I'll tell you what, though, mate. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not bad. I'm not looking at anything. I'm literally doing it off the top of my head.
You just need to start playing pundit now, so you can get that brain working.
I've got it. We used to do a stat man like an episode before, like the games and stuff used to be released and stuff. But challenge stats, I think you're the new challenge Annika here. It could be the new thing.
I've just
I can imagine him in and out of an helicopter flying around all over.
One of the comments that I was wondering if you know, Will Coots says, what brand of shinnies did Mark Viduka wear?
I'm good. I'm not that good. I'll get added to Dashing pads or watch the
That's a bit obscure, isn't it?
November 4th, 2000, he scored 4 goals, and I think that might tell you the answer because he was one hell of a player. And of course, he's coming to Ellen Road, isn't he, in a few weeks' time with Dom?
Yeah.
Apparently so, yeah.
Favourite all-time players for Dukes.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
What a guy.
Thanks for that, I appreciate that. Brilliant.
No, excellent. Some
No
good
worries,
questions
mate.
there. Thanks for them, mate. Are you going to stick around while we talk about probably slander your team a little bit? And then, for those who don't know, Aidan's a barcode. He's a Newcastle fan. So
Someone has to be.
do you want to briefly talk about that game? Go on. We'll give us your opinion about your very, very fortunate result at Ellen Road.
In my own honesty, I feel as though Newcastle played the perfect game for what they had on, and it isn't pretty, but we're in a scrap, and I think you'd be very naive to think we played well. I think my biggest concern is a lot of my friends are Leeds fans. Is there's not much action off the back of that Newcastle game. I think there's some alarm bells from a Leeds perspective in terms of, there was certain players knocking about, strikers that Leeds could have gone after. That they probably should have done towards the end of the January window. But as a Newcastle fan, 3 points is 3 points. I don't care how it comes, and I don't care what it looks like at this point. And I don't think you should. But yeah, I think it's, from my perspective, it's great to have the two clubs in the top league, and I think they should stay there. I think there should be more Northern clubs in the league. Keep it interesting, not the Cockney Mafia knocking about and all that sort of stuff. So it's great, and I think two great clubs that should hang about as long as they can.
No, absolutely, mate, definitely. You're right. It was a bit of an ugly win, but we've had ugly wins. Look at our result against City last season. They're
the best ones. They're the ones you remember, and the ones that you can wind your friends up about because you didn't deserve it.
Of course, it is.
They know that. Everyone knows that, but it is what it is.
They're definitely a team to be wary of now, especially going into like next season and stuff like that. Doing some damage in the transfer market and all that sort of stuff. They're the one to watch. I think we dominated in the first half, but the second half was a completely different game. You dug in, and we didn't take his chances, and that's how it is. That's football, and that's what makes it so good to watch.
And if you remember last night, Jay, Dom sort of alluded further about the sort of he was he felt a bit frustrated about the lack of movement in the transfer market, didn't he? And he mentioned Minamino in Liverpool that he was going after. For me,
he said he thought it'd have been a good fit. I can't argue with that. I think it would have been pretty decent for us.
I get my friends speak to me about Bielsa wants to play, and he wants runners and things like that. But I still think so. And I mentioned Andy Carroll just till the end of the season. He might not run as much as what you want, but he'll be there, and he can score from anywhere. And it's just another player that could have filled the void, I think, for Leeds that they didn't really go after. And they probably should have done in hindsight, I think.
I genuinely don't think he'd fit into our team at all. Andy Carroll, he's not our style. I get what you're saying, as in kind of change your philosophy a bit and stick a lump up top when you're struggling, but I don't think Bielsa would ever do that, to be fair.
Then again, as sort of a Newcastle fan who loves Andy Carroll, you had Andy Carroll against Newcastle, you'd have won 3-0. So that's the sort of...
Yeah, there is obviously...
Well, we thought it were going to be like that with Chris Wood, to be fair, so...
Has he scored it tonight? I don't know.
It's 1-1
it's 1-1 currently, but I don't know who scored.
Yeah, own goal, Mason Holgate, I think, for Newcastle, and Watford 0-0 against West Ham, and Man U 1-0 up at Burnley. So results.
I did just see Joe Linton boot the ball up from the ground into his head in the box. So that were.
I think we can all agree on that. We hate Man United, though, yeah.
Oh fucking hell, you are.
That's 100%. 100%.
Brilliant.
But yeah, we can talk about a little bit of transfers, but what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the poll now, as everyone knows.
Smart's favourite part.
Well, we'll play school.
Twitter poll results.
So as you all know, every week we run a poll via our Twitter account and ask everyone to vote on their main subject for the pod. I'm just trying to find it now. It wasn't how I thought it was going to go, to be quite honest with you. But from this week, so ticket tantrums, Seat Geeks tickets, the way forward, Strike It Lucky, January over. However, we've still got no striker, and we love the drama. Anyone there? Somerville, the Lone Shark, are the under-23s getting itchy feet? Now, this obviously comes back to some of the 23s rumoured that they were looking at getting loan moves out of the club, and Somerville bearing the brunt of that one. Somerville being the person that were keeping Minamino, is that the right way to say it?
Minamino.
From Liverpool, from obviously joining us for the half-season loan. What's your opinions, stats on the under-23s and where we see them potentially going out on loans, or because we've said it, from very, very, very early on, that we would like to see our lads playing adult football, proper football, not these under-23 stuff, playing against proper men, playing proper football. However, on the flip side of that, Bielsa likes to keep his cards close to his chest and have them playing murder ball and then training with the first team.
Yeah.
So are they getting itchy feet? Have they got a right to get itchy feet?
I think it's very much a catch-22 with the league this season because of all the injuries that we've had. We've seen, obviously, Archie Gray, 15, on the bench, and the players you like, so your Somervilles are wanting to come through, Jack Jenkins, Somerville have already said, Joe Gallagher's obviously made his day for the first team. And these are players that obviously want first team football, and I can understand that. But I think they also have to understand there is a pathway at Leeds, and I was there last night against Liverpool, and they were very good last night. Someone was brilliant last night. He kind of ran the show. Noah Kenner, another one. Mullen was brilliant at centre half as well. So I do think there is a pathway into the first team. I think it's difficult at a young age because obviously some of them have seen his mates come through like Gelhardt, like Louis Bate, like Helder, make his debut at Leeds. He wants to be sort of the next one on the production line. I know he's played a few times this season at Elland, especially against West Ham, I think Fulham in the League Cup as well. So it can be frustrating for players because they want to play at the highest level, and I think they've just got to sort of bide the time. It has worked for certain players going out on loan. Look at Alfie McAlmont, for example, I think it was at Salford and Oldham last season. So it can work, but I can understand players do getting itchy feet, but it's also very difficult. So from a Leeds perspective, when we do have all the injuries and players are wanting to get the opportunity and knocking on the door, really.
Yeah, that is a massive, like you say, with the injuries and stuff that we're having, having players with that attitude, thinking that's not side before self, if I'm totally honest. However, given the circumstances and stuff like that, I understand why they might want to go and get regular football. Aidan, Newcastle, do you get many under-23s players breaking through there? Did they feature much in the first team, or do you see them going out on loan a lot or not?
So I think it's been a problem since a number of years. There's, if you think about what Ashley's done, there's not been the infrastructure that the money put in, and that's why we have one or two youth team players. We've got Elliot Anderson out at Bristol at the moment, but that's it. We struggle, and I think what Leeds has done well is they've really bought into the sort of the youth team. And I think it's a good problem to have that players are sort of being like this, rather than not having anyone who's anywhere near the sort of peripheral of the team of the squad as such. Sort of my tilt on it is that you've got lads who should what do you, I know the under 23s, they won Premier League 2 Division 2 last year, didn't they, at Leeds?
Yeah.
But what does that really mean? And sort of if you've got lads who've come and played 20 odd 30 games in the Football League, what does that mean? Surely they're in a better position than what a lad who's played 40 odd games in the Premier League 2 looks like.
I think we've said this a lot.
I get the point about Bielsa wants them around the club, but pretty much academy lads, they'll have been around the club since they were, they'll have been the same first team players since 15, 16 anyway. In my opinion, we get them out, make them mature, grow up, come back, and we'll level up in pre-season. Realistically, go on. Sorry.
No, you're all right. Go on, carry on. It's fine.
And I think that would be my point in it. You're in a great position compared to clubs like Newcastle, other clubs in the northeast. You look at Sunderland, who have to sell the best players. Sam Greenwood at Leeds, for instance. So it's a great problem to have. If you look at sort of across the border, across the Pennines to Man City, if I'm a sort of academy player, I'd rather be sat at Leeds than a Man City, where I could be potentially on the peripheral. You look at Joe Geldard, or am I going out on loan? At Man City, you feel like in Chelsea, clubs like that, you're in no man's land for a lot longer. My opinion is get them out though. Get them playing, find out what they're really about as soon as we can.
No, you're right, and of course we've spent, and I think a lot of people forget this. We haven't just grown these lads. A lot of these guys that are in our under 23s now have been bought in by the club. They're not young kids that have been there for a long time. They're an investment that the club's made, and a lot of them have got a massive potential. There's some cracking talent in under 23s. Unfortunately, this season it's had a knock-on effect for their team because the under 23s are having to get players from the under 18s to fill the gaps that the under 23s are leaving, because they're having to fill positions in the first team. So, they've not had a right lot of under 23s action. Quite a lot of them. Somerville, Gellart, there's quite a few of them. More. The bench is ever changing. They're always getting swapped around.
I think they're just on top of that though. The problems create themselves. So people, Leeds fans have taken more interest in the 23s because of the success, certainly of last season. I think other clubs around the country, I couldn't tell you what Newcastle did for the last year or two in the under 23s. They probably lost every game. So it's a case of, is it worth winning? What do you want to do as a club, sort of thing? It's weighing it up,
I mean, it's a good opportunity for a lot of young fans, especially, to go and have a look at the fringe players, because a lot of the under-23s are fringe players, you know, and they're managing to go and guarantee a ticket pretty much and go and see, you know, these young lads do their thing in a Bielsa sort of style of football and go and see it for a fraction of the price. And it is good football. A lot of it is really, really good football. There are a couple of people, Clayson, that are probably up to scratch. But, you know, it's a cracking watch. There is a lot of potential. But in an absolute classic case like Cody Drameh, who's ended up going to Cardiff, he actively sought out a loan move down there because he wanted football. He wanted to play more football. And I understand that. But I'm not a professional footballer. I'm absolutely far from it. But in my opinion, and I know I share this opinion with a lot of people, I would probably rather be on a fringe of a Premier League team getting trained by one of the best bloody managers in the world. So let's be honest, you know, critics and everyone will say the same. Mixing it in with the first team, being trained, doing the murder ball, or going and making a few appearances for Cardiff. You know, I don't know where that is. Jay, what
do you know what though, Smarty? I was gonna say, because I think it was Phil Hay who mentioned this on his podcast, or it was somebody on that podcast with him. But basically, the gist of it was, like, when you've got a player like, say, Drameh, or you've got Creswell or whoever, and they're sort of on the fringes of the first team, they tend to find themselves in the matchday squads, but that means they're not playing for the 23s. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They're playing less football.
That's what I was saying.
They're not playing any football in some cases. And I think that is probably the biggest factor of it, because when you look at it sort of black and white and say, well, he's on the bench, he's on the fringes of the first team, he's, you know, this is his breakthrough, he's making his way in now. Just has to be patient. But then,
I mean, the thing
6 months of that and not playing matches, you're going to get fed up.
You've
got to weigh up whether it's worth investing your career and not having those games at that time for your future, or whether you think you need to go play those games and that'll work out better for you. It's a way up you've got to do. You've got to make a choice at the end of the day.
No, I do get that. But at the end of the day, they're not playing tiddlywinks at Thorpe Arch. They're playing football. You know, and they're playing a lot of
you can only tiddle with a wink you've got, Smarty.
I think, well, I won't say anything else on that one. But yeah, like I said, the lads are playing football, and they are playing competitive football. Like we've seen, the bloody injuring each other left, right, and centre. You know, so they're not playing tiddlywinks at Thorpe Arch. But
it's not the same, though, is it?
No, that doesn't give you the atmosphere, the feeling of playing in that because that's what everyone wants to do. You don't become a footballer to just train and all that sort of stuff and play tiddlywinks or whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
Because you want to play in front of people. So I understand it. It's one of them, innit? I don't think you'll ever come to get to the bottom of it and all that sort of stuff. But
no,
I did want to use and I've just off the top of my head, Leeds United have named an academy player in every matchday squad for 604 consecutive games. So that does show there is a pathway there. And obviously that goes back to the likes of Gary Kelly, Matt Jackson, who's obviously the 23s coach. So there is a pathway there. Paul Robinson, just so many examples of players that have made the debuts in the first and they've come through the ranks. So there is a pathway there. And I can understand players getting frustrated. It's not just a Leeds thing. It happens at all other clubs as well, that players do want to play first team football, but I think sometimes players have to be patient and the time will come. And you've seen with Gelhardt, who's really taken an opportunity this season, that if you are patient, I think your time will eventually come.
Yeah.
Do you think there's been just on that? Do you think there's been a cultural change? So, like, you've got lads who, if you look at like sort of the early the 90s, early 90s, where all they want to do is play for Leeds United, all they want to do is play, all they want to do is play for Man United or whatever academy they're in or wherever they're from. Yeah. Do you think there's been a seismic shift where they just want to get out in the football league, make a name for themselves and make their own money?
Yeah, I think that also comes down to how much football has changed over the last 20, 30, 40 years as well. Because if you go back to, I don't know, the early 90s when Sky started pumping the money, it wasn't as big as it was or is nowadays. So yeah, I certainly think there's been a social aspect to it as well, where football has changed, a massive shift from what it was, say, I don't know, in the 1990s when Man United conquered all and won the treble to what it is 20 years later. And I think there's more money pumped into the game than it was all those years ago. And I think some players do just want to go out on loan and kick a ball rather than have an opportunity to play for the club. And I think the pathway at Leeds and the academy, that Adam Underwood is the academy manager, right from the early ages. I think it's Jason Blunt off the top of my head, or might be Scott Gardner, who's the under-18s manager, through to Mark Jackson. So I personally believe there is a pathway there. I think it's just about patience as well. That's
We've just got coming from Michael Brown. If you look at Chelsea with the amount of youth players they had on loan at lower league clubs like Mount, Abraham, Gallagher, Loftus-Cheek, Reece James, they are now first team and internationals. Couldn't agree more. Yeah. And we're not opposing the fact that the players shouldn't go out, because we've had these conversations many times. And to be honest, with the under 23s, we're not sold on the under 23s. Bring back the bloody reserves for us. We have talked about many times. Playing proper men's football, smashing the shit out of each other.
That's it.
Senior players recovering. I know they do feature for under 23s and all that sort of stuff anyway. But I totally get people going out on loan and all that sort of stuff. However, when you're away from your management and learning that philosophy and getting that culture, it's completely different. So I see both cases, honestly.
I will just say in response to Michael's comment, that's like 5 players out of 35 that Chelsea would have had out on loan at any one time. 40 players maybe. So it's not as clear as saying get them out on loan and they'll definitely make it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of players that don't. Yeah, it's just when you stockpile that many, you're gonna have players that make it. You're gonna have some talent there somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a few through our doors in the last few years. Easy Brown. And a couple of others.
Jesus Christ.
There's been a couple that have come our way and just haven't made the grade. You don't hear about them because they are, they've come through their academy, gone out on loan and done nothing really. Izzy Brown's playing to Leeds.
Smart is Lewis Baker, isn't it? We had on loan Chelsea the 18-19 season. I think he made his Chelsea debut the other week in the FA Cup. I think he's now
one of the most average players I've ever seen.
Yeah, never hardly kicked a ball. Jamal Blackman, another one, and actually he got a bad injury. I think he signed on loan from us as well. So you are going to get a small success rate of players that do go out and learn and get the team football experience and then come back and be better players. But it's a very top and tail situation that could go on and on and on. And there's so many sort of strands of discussion as well.
No, absolutely. Well, like I said, this bit we've spoken about didn't actually win the poll, but because we don't really want to talk about tickets because it's a bit bland and I didn't think it'd win, that's why I stuck it in there. Whatever. We're going against the grain tonight. Bollocks to everyone.
Send your hate mail to Smarty. It's his fault. Yeah.
Better@gmail.com. There you go. Send me all your hates and your gifts and everything. So this weekend. In fact, this weekend, tomorrow evening, should I say, Aston Villa away. How are we all thinking this is going to go? I'll let Aidan join in a little bit and get his thoughts about Villa and Gerrard and all that sort of stuff first. But Jay, how do you think we're going to set up? How do you think it's going to pan out?
Well, I'm going to this one, so I'm hoping we're going to do all right because I can't be asked going to see us get hammered like I did when I went to City. But I think we'll probably play a pretty similar team. I don't think there'll be many changes. I mean, we've seen a few people back in training, but I don't think anyone's going to be fit enough to make their way back in there. I think Forshaw was hoping to be fit, wasn't he, for Villa? But we're not sure yet whether he is.
I think he will be.
I think he probably will, but he might be a bit off the pace slightly. So it might be that he doesn't get in from the start. Koch may play instead. But, I mean, I'd like to see Lewis Bate get a few more chances, personally. I'm in two minds, to be fair. Like, whether Bielsa's just going to do what he normally does and stick with as many of the same players as he can, or whether he's going to change it up a bit and try and do something different after the last game because we were crap. I mean, that's probably harsh. We weren't crap. We just couldn't put the ball away. But we didn't defend well enough in that Newcastle game. And there were never a time when I felt comfortable with how much they were getting into the box and stuff. Like, that seemed to be something we were allowing to happen a bit too often. And I hope that there's been a bit of work done. And I'd like to see some changes, but I'm just not sure there are many options for changes beyond, like, those couple. I'd love to see Joffrey get a start. But again, I don't really see it happening. I'm not sold on Dan James up front. I think he works hard, and I think it was Lucas said in one of the group chats, if he could finish, it'd be amazing. because he does everything else really well. The pace, the breaks, the pressing, his positional play, his movement, he's all good. He just cannot.
Keeper.
Yeah, he just cannot put the ball in the net, the poor lad.
Yeah.
But I mean,
he's
doing his
still
best.
A young lad, isn't he?
Yeah.
Still a young kid, and it will come. And that's not, he's been played out of his position and all that sort of stuff. So you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt, I suppose. But there's no Patrick Bamford. But then again, we don't have anyone like Patrick Bamford, which is the bloody problem that we're having at the minute.
That is. Do we know if Rafinha's back okay? Because there were a rumour he might have a small niggle from international.
I think it was just cramp. And I don't think anything was released in Bielsa's presser yesterday with regards to Rafinha. So no news is good news as far as I'm concerned. I don't know about you, Stats, if you've heard anything.
Yeah, I'm going to be really positive here. I think the break has probably come at the best time for us, because I think we're probably a Chris Wood away from beating Newcastle. And that probably sounds ridiculous, but having a fox in the box the positions that the wingers got in were unbelievable, and some of the crosses that Dan James put in against Newcastle were brilliant. And unfortunately, Dan James was on the wing and probably should have been up top, but it's been and gone now. I think we can put a similar performance into the West Ham game, because I don't think there's many people that would expect us to go to Villa Park and win. And you look at the next 2 away games, you've got Villa tomorrow night, and then you go to Frank Lampard's Everton on Saturday afternoon. I just think it's an opportunity to be refreshed. I think the breaks come at a good time. I think Forshaw will be back personally. It'll be very interesting to see what it does. I think it probably will be Forshaw and Robin Koch. They'll go in the middle. I think Clicky may drop out, or possibly Rodrigo.
I think so.
Possibly. Possibly, I might be wrong. I thought Clicky was brilliant against West Ham, but it's if not Click, I think he'll drop Rodrigo out from the team that played against Newcastle. I'd love to see Joffrey up top, but I think Dan James will start up top. And I feel sorry for Dan James a little bit, because he wasn't bought as a striker, was he? He was bought as a winger.
Yeah.
And he's had a bit of a slow start for one reason or another. And he's coming. I thought his performance when he came on against Burnley was brilliant. I thought performance against West Ham was very good. So it'll come. And let's go there. Let's try and put performance in. Not many people expect us to go and get a result against Villa Park. And the sooner we get away from that dreaded bottom sort of 6 or 7 in the league, the better we can all relax. It's just a frustration that we didn't pick up the points against Newcastle, because had we beaten Newcastle, we would have been in a lot better position. I said that in the group earlier this evening before we came on air.
And we had the chances.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a question. We're not creating chances. If we weren't creating chances, I'd be worried. But we are creating chances, and I think the goals will come. And look what Jack Harrison did against West Ham. And I fancy us tomorrow night. I don't think we'll lose tomorrow night. Maybe famous last words. But I think we can go and cause Villa problems. And I don't think Tyrone Mings is that great, to be honest with you. I think he's gettable as a central defender. I think he's got...
He's a liability.
I think we've got to double up on Coutinho. I think he's their sort of main man at the moment. So, Villa are doing all right. They're probably exceeding expectations under Steven Gerrard. But why can't we go and get a performance at Villa Park tomorrow night?
It's going to be the battle of the Brazilians, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Aidan, what are your thoughts about Villa? Yeah. What do you think to Villa?
I know before we spoke about that, I didn't think Leeds might see, but then I thought a bit more about Coutinho. But there's sort of in film, isn't he? I think it's going to be tough to sort of hold them at bay. I think you're right about Tyrone Mings. There'll be goals to concede. Interestingly, last night when we spoke to Don Matteo, he only sung praises about what Steven Gerrard's got going on at the moment. And sort of that echoes in what he's...
Oh, it's frozen.
It's frozen.
That's that.
Why don't we go back? Nope.
Are we back?
You're back?
Yeah, I think you're back now.
Okay.
Yeah. We got to Steven Gerrard and we lost you.
Yeah. Many do. No. He like I say, it's hard to see how smoothly he's transitioned to management, and I think he understands football so much that no matter what sort of teams put against him, he'll put a team to fight against that as well. It'd be interesting to see sort of if Leeds can break down sort of that break. He does set out, and he does set out a team that work hard. I mean, there's a famous footage of him when he first started Rangers saying, "If you're not here to work hard, you can get out the door," sort of thing. In all honesty, I think there's a draw tomorrow, but I do think both teams score. I think I'm going to stay relatively on the fence with that. But I hope Leeds get something. I really do. It'd be nice to sort of top off this week of sort of really Leeds orientated week with a win for, or at least a point for you guys.
No, I hope so. But you're right. With Gerrard, I think fortunately he's never faced Bielsa, and Bielsa does have a fairly decent record against people like Gerrard. I'm sure he's done his prep. Because he's rivalries aside and all that sort of stuff. I thought he was a fantastic player. Yeah. I think he's a great manager, and I think he's gone about himself the right way, starting off at the Farmers League like the SPL, and then coming to proper football. But yeah, who knows? It could go either way. Aston Villa definitely have the tools to do damage.
Dom's point last night was he said Gerrard's the best player that he's ever played with. If you remember, Jay, and he was not surprised with the transition that he's had in management. Sort of look at parallels between him and Rooney at the moment, and you just think it makes sense. That you can tell you understand the game, that they've done the research, and sort of it's really exciting for those sort of players moving into management. What's next? And I think, in my opinion, they've trumped what Lampard's done already, both of them. Because
well, maybe so. Yeah,
I think what really is Lampard done? He's failed at Chelsea, arguably.
Lied to the police about wire cutters and entering a training ground. And...
We'll move on to him. We'll move on to him next, because obviously we'll be covering Everton as well, because we are going to be releasing a pod until next week. But just one final thing on it. I mean, with Gerrard, I mean, you could see it. I mean, obviously, back in his career, they nearly won the Premier League. But you can see that it emulates from him how, being a captain, his confidence, the way he approaches games, the way he speaks to his teammates, he's controlling, he's powerful, and he's an absolute natural leader. I haven't been surprised that he's made it so well into management. I
just want to stop you there. There's been a third goal at St James's Park, and it's 2-1 to Newcastle United. So Aidan will be happy.
Well, you spoiled it for me, Stats. About a minute behind.
We're going to be he'll be frozen this time for good, and he'll be bugging it off.
We'll get another pint in a second.
But no, we will move on to Everton, and I'll let you both talk about.
Just on that loss, Matty, because I think it's really poignant, the point you just made, and it's on top of what Dom was saying yesterday. Like 15, 14 years old, if you remember, Jay, that he was doing Don Mattio's boots, but he was telling people what. And I think it just translates so much that his career has gone like that. Granted, in my opinion, he should have won the league at one point. I really wish he did. He did, but I think it's great that players like him who are football men and to the core, and he's doing so well, and albeit, and I hope he wins the league at one point. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see English managers coming from our former top players and actually succeeding, because we had so many poor English managers. We used to have that merry-go-round of useless people that included such distinguished names as Big Sam, Mark Hughes, Tony Pulis, bloody Alan Pardew, this lot that just kept getting jobs going round and round these clubs.
It's frustrating, Jay, that you've just named 4 Newcastle managers, but...
Well, it happens. I left Steve McLaren out because I didn't want to go too heavy on you.
I was just going to say that. No, you've mentioned Lampard, so we might as well talk about him, and obviously Lampard's Everton. The grassing bastard. I mean, what can you say? It's fucking Lampard, isn't it? I mean, I didn't used to mind him before he went to. I mean, I know he's obviously a Chelsea scummer, but I didn't used to mind him. I thought he was a cracking player, and I've seen him, on TV and all sort of that. I thought, this guy's genuine. He's humble, all that sort of stuff. But now he can get in the fucking sea, because I think he's an absolute shithouse.
I'm the same as you, Smarty. I never minded him as a player. It's the stuff he's done since that's really soured him.
He's just a smug, spoiled fucking asshole.
That is the divine right that he deserves. He's a winner and he deserves this and this. And I think, no, you don't, mate. That interview, I don't know if you've seen it, the one with Neville.
No, I'm not
no. I don't think he came across well at all. He spoke about the Spygate, and he had his last piece on the Leeds fans, which if you get 5 minutes, I'll definitely have a look. But he's smug, and you're right in that. I think that he feels
he's a snaky rat, man. Arsehole.
Yeah.
Did he mention one of them doing a dump in the dressing room? I didn't say that in his interview.
I didn't catch that bit, no.
I said, did he mention someone doing a dump in the dressing room? Because I bet he didn't mention that.
They left the cleaners a nice little parcel on the shower room floor, apparently.
That's a classy guy for you, that.
I mean, you look back to last season and the spat that he had with Klopp on the touchline and stuff like that. I mean, it's just classic arsehole. You know, I think he said to Klopp, like, you've won a league now and you think and you're giving it all that. I thought, you fucking arsehole, entitled prick.
I'm not a fan of Klopp. I'm not a fan of Klopp, but show some fucking respect, man.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. You want Champions League and Super Cup and everything.
As a player, I love Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard as a player because there were two absolutely brilliant players that probably should have gone on to win things for England as well, and they didn't because there was the old debate, Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, could you have him in the team? As a player, he's brilliant, and he's won everything as a player. As a manager, the way he handled everything with Spygate riled everybody up. And I think, obviously, the rivalry with Derby County that we had in the 18-19 season, the playoff defeat as well, really hurt because it was Derby and it was Frank Lampard. And I think he could probably look back on that and think he probably should have behaved better. The Spygate thing, in my opinion, was blown completely out of proportion. There was no need for all the shenanigans that went on. At the end of the day, there was crying for Leeds to be deducted points, fines, this, that, and the other. And it was ridiculous. And the way Leeds played that Friday night against Derby was absolutely magnificent. And Frank Lampard will have Everton fired up because he absolutely detests Leeds, there's no doubt about it. But again, it's another opposition. They're losing tonight against Newcastle. They've half an hour left. It's a massive game. If Leeds don't get a result against Aston Villa tomorrow night, that Everton game becomes humongous.
It does. Yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
If Newcastle win this, we're only, 4 points ahead of them?
Yeah.
I will say, with what's been said about Stevie G and Lampard, I personally get the impression that Stevie G will go in and he will work damn hard to make sure that things are done the way he wants them done. I get the feeling that Lampard expects success to just come to him because he's Frank Lampard.
Yeah,
exactly. There's an element of a divine right there. He's a winner. He's, through his career, he is. You can't argue with that. But it feels as though that translates into management and how he sort of shrugged a few opportunities in management, which I don't think were above him at all. I think you're right there, Jay. Yeah.
I think Norwich's job would have been about his level. To be fair, he'd be lucky to get offered any Premier League jobs for me.
Yeah, he should be doing his time in the lower leagues and championships and stuff like he started, but not obviously be given a team like Derby and the team that they had, which he pumped full of Chelsea players. He won't be able to do that anymore. Will he?
No, that's right.
But let's talk a little bit about Everton. They're obviously they're on the same games played as us now. Looks like we've got a 3-point cushion on them still though. I mean, it's hard to tell because we've got Aston Villa to play, so we don't know how that result's going to affect the guys, the team selection, all that sort of stuff. But how do you think we're going to set up against Everton? What do you think are the sort of things we need to look out for, the players and all that sort of stuff? Stats. I'll start with you. Sorry,
I suppose it's difficult to say because we don't know if we'll pick up any injuries against Villa or if we pick up any suspensions. Hopefully we won't do. It sounds like Firpo could be back for that game. It sounds like Phillips and Cooper might be another couple of weeks. Or I know they're in training, but just need to get back to match fitness. So it's very difficult to know until we've had the Villa game tomorrow night, basically. And I'm guessing there won't be too many changes. I'm sure Adam Forshaw will want to go back to the club that he started at and prove a point to have some performance then. But again, it's another massive game. It's a massive week, really, with 6 points that we'll know a lot more after Saturday about 5:30, really, because we'll have 15 games left after that, and we'll get a really better idea what the table looks like. As for team selection, it's very difficult to say until we know the outcome of what happens against Aston Villa. We could win 3-0 tomorrow night, like we did at Villa Park last season, and it's all hunky-dory, or you can end up drawing, end up losing. So I'd expect a very similar team. I think Everton have lost Damari Gray, and there's been a goal at Turf Moor, and Burnley have just equalised against Man United. Sorry to
never. Wow.
This is getting very interesting now at the end of this. Oh, crikey, we are.
I mean, that's a good result for well, obviously for everyone, I suppose. Burnley, I think Burnley are getting buried out there. Let's be totally honest. I think they're going down. I think they've pretty much accepted that they're going to be their fate. Anyway.
You think so?
It's a massive week. It's a massive week for the club, and then you've got another massive week after with Man United at Ellen Road, Liverpool, Anfield, and Tottenham at Ellen Road. So, come the end of February, we'll know a lot more.
I mean, it'd be nice to get some decent results against the elite Super Six that are coming, that we're playing against, obviously, in the next few weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, given what's happened over the last couple of seasons, this season, obviously, the game at Old Trafford, and then last season's results, which were an absolute washout. I would like to hope that they will put a performance with us, and I'm pretty certain that we won't get absolutely pumped.
Battered.
I hope we'll take it to them and give them a good shot. I'd quite happily lose against Villa and Everton just to beat them. I know that probably won't put us in a good position with the league and stuff, but as far as pride is concerned, I would absolutely love a result against them scum bastards.
That's the game.
Absolutely. And they look vulnerable at the moment, so you never know.
Don't they?
September the 14th, 2002, last time I beat Man United at Ellen Road.
Well,
there we go.
Who scored stats?
Some Aussie that I don't like the name of.
Well, one thing I will say, guys, if we get a couple of bad results in a row with these two games, Twitter won't be worth looking at. It'll be a full-on meltdown. And the only thing anyone's going to be talking about is the fact we didn't sign anybody. And that's going to be it. And people are going to be calling for Bielsa's head. I've already seen people saying, we can't continue with him. He's taking us backwards now. And it's just Jesus Christ.
Whenever I see any comments like that, and I'm sure, Aidan, when you see that sort of shit on Twitter and stuff, you'll have a look and have just a little cheeky look at their profile and say, created in January 2020 or 2021. A lifelong fan and all that sort of stuff. Right? You ain't fucking.
I'll be honest, Matty. I've been living in Leeds the last few years, and when I sit in the sauna and I'll just sort of put some fire in the air. I was like, how long do you think Bales has got left and all this sort of stuff? And it's interesting to see how sort of thick-skinned these Leeds fans got. But I think you're so lucky with what I think. From my message to Leeds fans, you're so lucky with what you've got.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you've got an ideology.
Hold on. He's not finished. Someone paused him then.
It's for us.
No.
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 See you all.
Hold on. I'll tell you what. We'll let his we'll let his stream catch up, and we'll bring him back in a second. Let his I think he's on these. He must have Jay's hamster wheel broadband.
I think he's using the free Wi-Fi instead of the paid one.
Yeah, he's using hotel free Wi-Fi, isn't he? We'll let him catch up with us. He looks to be moving now, so we might bring him back in 2 seconds.
He's alive.
You all right?
You got me.
Sorry about that. You need to go and have a word with that receptionist.
Yeah, sorry about that. No. Dodgy town with Wi-Fi. Yeah, no. I was just sort of saying, you've got a great culture and an ideology at Leeds that not many clubs can say they've got, and really identify with that as a fan and own it. I think it's my message, because I'm so jealous of it, and many clubs are. I think even Man United fans would resonate the same message, because what identity do they have at the moment? It pains me when I see that sort of stuff, knowing that Newcastle haven't had one since probably the 90s or under Robson 2003. So very jealous.
Yeah.
Oh, you've reminded me now. Sorry, Smarty. Dom did tell us a story where he got left behind by the team bus at Newcastle, and they ended up drinking with Bobby Robson in bar.
Brilliant.
How good is that?
You hear a lot of stories about lads getting left behind. Buses just picking up. Right, if you're not here in 5 minutes, we're fucking off and get trained. It's mad. It's mad. Right, lads, I'm going to ask you for some predictions. We normally ask for a fan prediction for our league table, Aidan, but because you're here and you are our special guest,
Yeah.
We'll let you give us a predictions for our games against Villa and our game against Everton at the weekend. So I will start with Jay. I want a prediction for Villa and then a prediction for Everton, please.
Oh Jesus!
Be careful.
I'm just going with the gut.
Watching.
I know he will. He's always watching. I'm just going with the gut here. I'm going to say 2-1 Leeds against Villa, and I'm going to say 3-1 Leeds against Everton.
Fucking hell!
I actually think we'll probably draw one of them games and win the other, but I'm going for it.
Stats.
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw tomorrow night at Villa Park. I don't think we'll lose the game. And I think we'll have the last laugh over Frank Lampard, and I think we'll win 1-0 Goodison Park on Saturday.
Oh, lovely. That would be nice, wouldn't it? See his little face. Aidan, I'm going to come to you now, mate.
Yeah. I was sort of mentioned. I think the Villa game. I think you get a point there, but I think both teams score. So I'll stick with stats on a 1-1. Just sit on the fence on that one. But I also think you get a result against Everton. I think the two open and I don't really know what they offer at the moment, and I'm touching wood because I know what's happening at the moment as we speak. But yeah, I think you get a result there. I do think both teams score again though, so I think that'll be a 2-1 win for Leeds, that one.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go back to front. I think we might beat Aston Villa 2-1. I fancy 2-1 against Villa, and for some reason, because it's that wanker, I think we're going to draw 1-1 of it against Everton. I don't know what. I think we'll either draw against them or absolutely pag at Everton, I think. I'm not too
That's
sure
his
about
final.
That could be either way.
I reckon when Lampard got his fixes for the rest of the season, that's his first one he looked for.
Oh, yeah.
100%. That and Chelsea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You do his bouncing dance in front of Everton fans, the fucking ass wipe. But
bouncing down tunnel with my foot.
Doing his bouncing, yeah. He'd be bouncing down M62 with 0 points, you'd tosser.
Well, he avoided some points. He avoided some points recently, didn't he? Because he got pulled up for allegedly using his phone in his car, and he got Mr. Loophole. Yeah, he got him off on the basis. I think the screen wasn't on, so he wasn't using it. Because one of these militant cyclists with cameras caught him in his G-Wagon, and he was looking through the window at him, like when they start knocking and stuff. Yeah. I almost felt a bit sorry for him there, but
outstanding citizen there, them cyclists. Yeah. Outstanding. We won't start a Twitter war or anything about that. Want to know better slam cyclism. But anyway, no, thanks very much for joining me tonight, boys. And, do you know what, mate? No, we won't go there. We won't go there. I don't want to be getting a bad name. Like I say, any hate mail can go to autonobear@gmail.com. Stats is our secretary anyway, so he'll be responding to that.
That's right. He might send you a
because
perfume
you keep getting your stats wrong, mate.
Yeah, all right.
You're not secretary.
Send you a perfumed letter back in post, sealed with a kiss.
He's got a lovely telephone voice.
I'll try.
Sometimes it's Maureen on the phone.
Thanks for popping on with us, Aidan. It's been a pleasure having you on, mate. I think going forward, any Newcastle games that we're going to have, we might try and get you on a Baradi and Coke or something like that.
That'll be fine, yeah.
Brilliant.
I appreciate that.
Might be
a couple of years, I reckon, if one two go down. But whatever happens will be.
All right. I think he'll be all right. I think he'll be fine.
As I said, I think there's a sort of link between both our fans that we deserve to be in this league, and it's good. It's better that we're both in this league.
Just quickly then, I'll go down room really quickly. What 3 teams do you think are going to get relegated? Really quickly, Jay, go.
Watford, Burnley, and Norwich.
Stats.
Watford, Burnley, Norwich. You took the words from my mouth.
Aidan.
Reluctantly, I'm going to say the same, but I don't want it to leave my mouth. I don't think.
I'd quite like Everton to go just because of Frank, but I don't think they will.
And I think Brentford could be in it, but I think the signing of Christian Eriksen could be a masterstroke.
He looks good in training. I've seen
that could be a good thing that way. I'm going to. For me, it's Norwich, Watford, and Burnley. Yeah, definitely. Just slightly different, but I think Newcastle will be absolutely fine. But again, thank you very much for coming on. Thanks for everyone for joining in with us and sending your comments and all that sort of stuff. No, it's been a cracker this week. look out for the comments section. We'll try and get Aidan's game stuff in the comments and get the links for your website. We'll get you on again, hopefully, all being well. Starts, Jay, thanks very much for joining us, boys. And we'll see you next time.
Cheers, boys.